But keeping in mind that all of these ideas, all of these stories, all of these belief systems, all of these religions, Islam, Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, Hinduism, capitalism, communism, fascism, socialism, animal rights, human rights, whatever the idea is, they do not exist if you go 300 kilometers into space. These ideas do not exist there. What up? Leonidas here, coming in from the mountains of Tepoztlan. So about 5 years ago, I went on a trip to the jungles of Peru to do ayahuasca with the shaman for 4 days straight. That's another story altogether, but ultimately, the main takeaway I got from that experience, the meaning of life, all right? So this was very pivotal at the moment. The meaning of life ultimately was whatever the f*** you want it to be. So I emphasize the word f*** because it's like an emphasis on whatever you want it to be. So humans are the most successful species on the planet, according to one author, Yuval Noah Harari. He wrote a book called Sapiens, and we are the most successful species on the planet because we are the only species that is able to tell stories, and we are the only species that is able to share stories onto other generations. And these stories allow us to essentially create communities that all end up believing in the same story. So these communities might start from tribes that believe in some deity that controls the skies and the winds. And ultimately, these tribes grow into small villages, into small cities, and ultimately into civilizations that believe if you build a pyramid, then once you die, you end up going to the afterlife. If you build this pyramid for me, that I am the king, then therefore you will ultimately sacrifice yourself for the well-being, and then in heaven, or whatever form of heaven your culture, religion, or belief system believes in, you will receive something in the afterlife. The idea behind this is that anywhere on the planet you go, there's going to be some story that is being told, whether it's in Christianity, whether it's in capitalism, communism, feminism, human rights, animal rights, whether you believe that your duty in life is to build a church, whether your duty in life is to simply reproduce and have children, whether your duty in life is to perhaps travel the world and live a life of freedom, fun, and adventure. This was my meaning of life for a very long time. This meaning of life is something that you get from yourself, and it's ultimately a development of your culture as well. But keeping in mind that all of these ideas, all of these stories, all of these belief systems, all of these religions, Islam, Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, Hinduism, capitalism, communism, fascism, socialism, animal rights, human rights, whatever the idea is, they do not exist if you go 300 kilometers into space. These ideas do not exist there. There is none of these ideas exist. The only things that exist 300 kilometers up in the air are mathematics, physics, chemistry, and biology, which is the naturalism, which is everything that you can explain through naturalistic explanations. And then on the other side of that, you have humanism, which is when you start to explain everything through humanistic terms, such as sociology, psychology, anthropology, history, economics, for example. Now, although everyone believes in some story or another, all right, we have 1 million stories, 1 billion stories. Every single person on this planet has their own individual story that they try to explain themselves. There is one religion that everyone believes in, and that religion ultimately comes down to commerce, money. So I might be Hindu, you might be Buddhist, you might believe in many gods, I might believe in there's no God at all, so atheism, for example. But ultimately, we all believe in hard currency and the dollar. So no matter where you go on the planet, you can exchange this piece of paper, which has no intrinsic value other than the imaginary value of it. So that's my main point here that I like to break down, is that there are 8 billion stories on this planet. If you go 300 kilometers up into space, none of these stories exist. The only things that exist are the naturalistic explanations for the world around us, and of course the humanistic explanations of why humans behave in a certain way, and ultimately the main religion that everyone on this planet believes in, that unifies us all, is essentially economics and essentially the hard currency and exchanging hard currency. So nonetheless, Leonidas here. I hope you enjoyed that video. Once again, behind me is the beautiful city of Tepoztlan. It took about 2 hours to climb up into this mountain. And I hope that the message that I presented to you today was coherent, exact, and gets to the point. Finally, if you want to read more on that idea, there is a book, once again, by Yuval Noah Harari called Sapiens, my favorite book of all time, read it at least 3-4 times. And once again, humans are the most successful because we can tell stories, and no other species in the world can do this. Salute.